Hey there. Hello, how do you do? My name is Harry Wetzel. Thanks for coming. It's the 80s, darling. Yes. And I've just had a phone call with Destiny. Well, actually, it was a phone call with Suzanne, but Suzanne made the call on Destiny's behalf. She convinced me in the course of a phone call that I had to do something that I was pretty sure I wasn't going to do, and that means move to New York right away. I knew I was going to move to New York eventually, but I was happy working in Michigan because I was working back to back, and I was doing very well, I thought. But in the course of this one phone conversation, she convinced me that not only did I have to get to New York, I had to pack up straight away and get out there as soon as I could. So it came true. Yes, I packed up everything that I owned, moved out to New York, and here I am. And now it's December 1982, and I'm working at the booze store, and it is the holiday crunch. Yes, it is the holiday rush. And that booze store is a madhouse. But you get used to it. I'm not saying you like it any better. But you're like, well, this might as well happen, and you go along with it. Right. Well, so I'm working in the booze store, working this exhaustive 6-day schedule, and my roommate Lily, my cosmic, wonderful roommate Lily, got cast in a Broadway show. Yes, she was cast in the musical Zorba, the musical. Yes, they made a Broadway musical out of Zorba the Greek, the movie. And it was starring the stars of the original movie, starring Anthony Quinn. Yes. And Lila Kadrova. Yes, who was nominated for an Academy Award for her performance in the 1964 film Zorba the Greek. Yes. So there's our friend Lily on the Broadway stage. She's suddenly making a little bit more money, and so she's moving out of our Astoria, Queens apartment so she can move to Manhattan so that her commute isn't as bloody long to get to her Broadway gig. Can you blame her? No, exactly. So, now, this is fantastic. We'll miss Lily and everything, but I get my own bedroom. Yes, Lily had been in the one room, and Rodent and Suzanne were in the other bedroom, and I had been sleeping on the couch all this time for my first month or so in New York City. So Lily moved out, and I get my own bedroom. I get my own door and everything. So I moved everything that I own into that little tiny room. I got my bed, I got my desk, I got my music, I got my bureau, I got all my clothes. I had everything in that little room, and I was very much happier to have my own place. I finally was feeling like now I think I'm feeling a little bit more like I actually live in New York City. Yes, it was wonderful. Then comes the holiday. We're in the middle of the holiday crush, and the holiday itself comes. On the day before the holiday, I'm walking home from work, and about a block from our house on Steinway Street in Astoria there's a Carvel ice cream cake store. And Carvel ice creams and ice cream cakes have these commercials on the television. They're these very loud commercials, and they're voiced by the owner, by Mr. Carvel himself. Come on down and get a Carvel ice cream cake. They're shaped like a whale, or they're shaped like Santa Claus. They're shaped like anything you want, as long as it's shaped like a whale or Santa Claus. And so I decided to get a ice cream cake and take that home for our holiday treat. And the lady behind the counter, she said, do you want me to write anything on it? And I'm like, yes, write Noel. Right, because it's the holidays. Only don't put the N on. Just make it so that it says O-L. O-E-L. O-E with the two little dots, the diaresis L. O-L. And we had that instead of plum pudding. Yes. All right. Now the holiday's over. Now it's the day after the holiday, and the booze store puts on a huge sale of champagne. Why? Because we're gearing up to the or the first big holiday of the year, New Year's Eve, yes. Booze night, yes. Amateur night, yes. So we were going to a party at Lily's house. Yes, up at her cute little apartment at 100th and Broadway. And she invited a bunch of Detroiters and a handful of New Yorkers in this cute little apartment. There was around 20 people all crammed in there. Oh, we were having so much fun. Now, because it's amateur night, I made a decision that I was going to approach this evening as a professional. Yes, I'm just going to take some wine and sample a little bit of that and spend the evening smoking reefer instead so I don't have a nervous breakdown. And it was a lovely party. It was a lovely evening. And when midnight came, from 1982 into 1983, when midnight came, I stepped outside of my body and stood on the side and looked at all of us in that room, all of us having a party in that room. We were all in our 20s. We were all so young and beautiful and filled with hope. Yes, filled with hope. Filled with hope. And I began to feel a little bit alive. We're starting a new year in a new space. I'm gainfully employed, and everything's fine. It was. The party ended without me having a nervous breakdown. I call that a win. Fan-fucking-tastic. Now it's January. And practically right away in January, Roden got caught fucking some what's-her-name, and Suzanne moved out of the apartment immediately. She moved in with Lily up at her cute little apartment at 100th Street. So now, it's just Roden and me. Yes, instead of the four of us being responsible for the rent, it's just the two of us. Isn't that great? So now, what are we going to do about it? Which brings me back to the booze store. Among the workers at the booze store, one of them was one of the wine stewards. One of them was a surfer dude from California, from Santa Cruz, California. He had blonde hair and a lot of teeth. His name was Keat, and he was a hilarious fellow who was a world traveler, and he had been to Europe, and he had been a sommelier. Yes, a sommelier. That means you just know a hell of a lot about wine, and he did. And he had been a proofreader and a songwriter and a playwright and all that things. He was just somebody who would fit in perfectly. Roden and I needed a roommate. And this guy is sort of just like us. So I went to him. I said, Keat, we need a roommate. I explained what the deal was, what the price was, that he'd be sleeping on the couch. He wouldn't have his own room. But, at this price, he said, it was almost too good to be true. So now it worked. By the end of January, there's the three of us responsible for February's rent. All right, we'll be able to deal with that. All right, now, as it goes, Roden spends a lot of his time at his new girlfriend, what's-her-name's place. So a lot of the time, it's just me and Keat, after hours, hanging around, getting drunk, listening to music, playing with records, and smoking dope. It was fantastic. We got along like a house on fire, and don't think we were just Skid Row bums. No. We were elegant drunks. We brought in erudite wine to sip on. Oh, we had learned a lot. I had learned a lot, and Keat already knew a lot. So we were drinking fancy Bordeaux's. I was drinking the Chateau Margaux, the Chateauneuf de Pape, the Chateau Talbot. We were drinking a lot of the Beaujolais as well. Oh, it was so delicious, and you'd use it to cook in. It was fantastic. There were also white wines that I enjoyed. The white Zinfandel, which was pretty new in the 1983 store shelves. And another wine called Fontana Candida. Oh, it was just fresh and delightful. We had so many fresh, fruity, delightful, dry, and wet wines. And we couldn't help but use them in our cooking. Yes. Don't think we didn't use wine for gourmet purposes as well. Everybody knows that a little bit of wine improves any spaghetti sauce. Glunk, 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 kush. And the way that the kitchen smells, when you pour that wine into the saucepan, and that wave of steam fills the kitchen, that beautiful aroma of the wine and the vegetables all together like that. Oh, it's something that I'll never be able to forget. I do it to this day. I still cook with wine, and when you pour the booze into the saucepan and that waft of steam fills the kitchen, it takes me right back to 1983 and 2547 Steinway. It's the magic of the olfactory nerves. Oh, the olfactory nerves are like a time tunnel, just like music is. It's a time tunnel. It can take you to any point in the past. Absolutely. And there was always music. Rodent would come around and he and Keat would play their guitars. Or we'd be watching television with the sound turned down and an LP playing over on the side. We were always listening to music. And we were always writing ditties. Keat was always writing ditties. So was Rodent. And I wrote a ditty myself. Yes. It's called Absolute Never Forever. And I'm leaving a link for you down below in the comments. Yes. And I'll leave 2 links for it. I've got one normal tempo version and one slightly faster version so that you can listen to this song. All right. So I wrote it and I was pleased with it. And the thing is, in the song is basically about how miserable it is to live in New York. It's sort of a jaunty, peppy tune about how horrifying it is to live there. But in the last verse, I tried to put a positive spin on the song because I didn't want it just to be just flat out complaining. And so the last verse basically says, as hard as it is here in New York, I can't imagine living anywhere else, is what the verse basically says. Because that's true. As miserable as I may have been, I knew that I was in New York for a purpose, and I thought I was going to be in New York forever. I did. But it was kind of fun, living with 2 like-minded, drunk, musical roommates. We got along very well, and I did the best I could to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. Now, this had been an issue with me for my entire story. It had. I had dealt with anxiety and depression for much of my life, ever since that horrible thing happened to me when I was a child. What was it called? My childhood. Yes, I know. We've all had childhoods with a certain amount of trauma in it. Yes, it's true. But you'd still have to make the best of it. It doesn't matter how bad your childhood was. Don't take it out on the rest of the world. I spent most of my hatred directed at myself as a result of this. But you've got to try as hard as you can to work through this. Eventually I'm going to need therapy, but I don't realize that. Eventually I'm going to need medication, but I don't realize that. I'm struggling along, and I'm just struggling, and I'm just asking myself questions like, how can I use this anxiety and depression to improve myself? How can I use this misery to give myself a better quality life? How can I be a more enlightened individual through this imagined suffering, this suffering that I am bringing upon myself and nurturing? I didn't realize all those things yet, but that's exactly what was going on. So what do? I say, all right, hope for the best. Hope for the best and expect the worst. Something is bound to happen. Uh-oh, I didn't press the button yet, did I? Press the button, Max!